What's up guys, Nolan here, and I've been getting lots of questions about my M4 builds, so I figured I'd break them down for you. I never think about meta these days, I just want my weapons to look cool, but still be as functional as they can. So I build on looks, but if I can change one or two things to make the weapon perform better, then I usually do, but again, main goal is just looks. My process starts by having a meta build saved to presets and staying in the know for attachment knowledge. I usually know what the best ergo and recoil stats for any weapon are, and if you guys are curious about that stuff, make sure to check out Virian's weapons builds, I've linked it below. But if you don't have the trader access, the money, or you just want to find out for yourself, keep the stats window open and then go one attachment at a time. The first things I always do is add a MIR upper receiver and then a Raptor charging handle. These are both best in slot and don't really change the appearance, so these stay constant for me. From there, I decide what handguard and stock I want because these will define the looks of the weapon significantly. If I can, I try to put the advanced buffer tube on it for function, and usually the stocks I choose can use it, but sometimes I use the stocks with the integrated buffers. Then I choose a barrel, gas block, and grip. For pistol grip, the PSG-1 is best in slot, but depending on looks, I sometimes either go growl or magpul. If I can, I always put the magpul M4s iron sights on top for extra ergo, then mess around with optics, but just to see what they look like, as I usually have tons of optics on hand, so I don't usually buy the optics with the build unless I forget to take it off. These days, I primarily use the Hollow version 0, the PK06, the LCAN, or the PLAD scope. The Hollow, PK06, and LCAN for function, and the PLAD for looks. I've recently started messing around with the hammer for function and the ACOG for looks as well. The last thing I do is the foregrip because I can change a solid chunk of the stats with just that one part, where the RK2 is for recoil but it destroys your ergo, the RK1 for a bit of both. Then from there, I'll go through the grips to base it on looks. Then last but not least, I'll find a way to stick a laser on there for hipfire accuracy as well. Now for the testing. All of these are going to be shooting the Magpul 60 rounder and a max ergo 30 rounder magazine full of M855A1, and I will have no mouse input on my end for recoil pattern. Then I will quickly ADS and shoot bursts to compare overall performance with the initial burst. First we have the stock build and max recoil build as the far ends of the spectrum. The recoil build is actually not as expensive as I thought given what it is. The stock build can be deceivingly okay as well, except the problem with that is that it still sounds like an M4, so you'll be ringing the dinner bell for the rest of the map and you will have a subpar weapon to fight them with. Now first up is my meta build, where I have a very expensive mix between recoil and ergo while being suppressed for stealth. This is a very expensive weapon, but performs extremely well. Different grips and stocks, especially the CTR stock, will allow for better stats here and there, but it's marginal and not worth the extra price in my mind. So I will mess around with different foregrips and stocks, but I stick with this general build if I have my tryhard pants on usually. And I will run different optics depending on the goal between the LCAN, PK06, or Hollow 0. Now here's the fun builds. These days, if I want the weapon to perform really well and I am going to be using it in short to mid ranges, then I actually use the HK416 in this configuration. The 416, with its higher rate of fire for marginal differences in performance and actually cheaper price in some cases, makes this work perfectly here. Generally speaking, when it comes to grips, muzzle devices, optics, and stocks, they will be the same between M4 and HK, but what makes the HK different is the lack of choice for gas tubes, receivers, and buffer tubes, where really the only difference is going to be sometimes you have the stock HK buffer tube, and then you have this handguard here, which is best in slot for this length of HK. All the other peripherals are going to be the same as an M4. Next is my generic cheap M4. I have run a bunch of these that all look about the same based off of M4s or attachments that I loot. The constants here are the MIR upper, Raptor charging handle, JP gas block, M4s iron sights, and a laser for function. The Daniel Defense rail is a constant for looks, and then everything else is a mix and match. Like I said, what usually happens is I'll either loot a similar M4 from somebody, or I'll find a few of these parts and then build the rifle around it. My current favorite gun in Escape from Tarkov is this M4 build that I've made into a DMR. It looks amazing, can reach out mid to long range, or go full auto if the situation requires. The PLAD scope is the cream of the crop for looks in my mind, and I have the canted PK06 or Burris on the side for CQC. The Burris has better ergonomics but crowded sight picture, so it depends on how I feel that raid for which I choose. And again, it looks amazing and you can do perfectly fine with it. Then last but not least, I have this cool little PDW that I bring from time to time. It doesn't perform that well to the point where you would probably want to bring an MP7 or MPX for the role that it fills in Tarkov, but it looks really cool. Since I've been getting lots of questions on them, I figured I would nerd out a little bit on my M4 builds that I've been running lately. It really comes down to that HK416 build and the DMR build these days. But I made sure to stick in that meta build as well for those of you that are interested. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy them. If you want to learn more about Escape from Tarkov or its development, then check out my playlist for it here. If you are looking for people to play with, then join our Discord below. If you like this video, then you know the drill. I really appreciate the people who do. Otherwise, I hope you at least learned something, and I also hope you have a nice day. See you guys. I killed both of them. All right, now move to stairs, move to stairs, move to S.